Are you tired of having boring, uninteresting streams? Having trouble getting those numbers up?
You guys don't get to see the game. Ban the guy asking to play COD.
Finding yourself unable to satisfy your audience?
Which I hope you appreciate. Quite honestly, let me take a look, because I have not looked at stream numbers all day. My god, the stream numbers were terrible. It's bullshit. I call complete and utter bullshit on anyone who's saying that I'm not engaged and I sound like I'm bored. I'm not. So, I've had enough excuses. It just seems to me like people are fucking lazy and don't want to come out to the streams.
Well then, you should download Sammi Core. Sammi gives you the tools to manipulate your streams in ways you've never imagined. Buy now, and we'll throw in Sammi voice. Same old Sammi, but with voice activation. Who wants more when there's Sammi Core? Batteries not included. The batteries not included thing is like generic. Sammi Core is a streaming tool, not too different from the person behind the keyboard. It's been out for a while, but I don't think most people even know about it. If you ever wanted to customize your stream in very unique ways, then strap in because there's a lot to explain. I'm doing this to show the many ways you can use Sammi, and possibly to explain why you don't see it being used by many people. Before we get too deep into the process, please go over and give the people who worked on this some love. It's definitely not easy to make stuff like this, and well, the fact that this is free is honestly pretty baffling. I won't explain how to download Sammi, so instead watch this video from Nutty for that explanation. Within Sammi, there are decks where all of your buttons are stored, and the actual buttons where you assemble your commands. Each button is made up of both the commands that you built into them and their corresponding triggers, which can help you automate a lot of the things within your stream. You can use the deck via phone or tablet to function like a pseudo stream deck once you set it up. One thing that I will explain to you is the Sammi Bridge. From the main menu, click on Sammi Bridge to set up a bridge, then take the link and copy that into OBS as a custom browser doc. From there you'll be able to use the bridge to test out your buttons. Before we get into the chat messages, if you're ever stumped working on a button within Sammi, you can go to the official Discord and request some help from the developers. You can also look through other things that people have made or asked questions about if you're stumped on something. Additionally, once you're in the menu to start editing your buttons, going to the top right corner will send you straight to the documentation page of Sammi, where if you ever stumped on why a command doesn't work, you can search for it and likely figure out what's going on from there. If you click the plus button, you'll be able to search for or scroll through menus for the command to add it to the button. Play sound effect will play a sound effect.
Skill issue.
I wish I had something more to say here. You can adjust the volume in the command and make sure to have an audio capture source in OBS, or the only person who will hear this will be you, which kind of defeats the point of it. Once you're done with that, save and run the command, because it's just the sound effect. Now go to the triggers. Whenever somebody enters the word grim, the sound will trigger. I have multiple instances of wildcards which act like blanks for other words. For example, the command would be triggered if someone says grim, hi grim, grim by, or even hi grim by. With this and some time, and hopefully enough sound effects, you can turn your chat into a sound effect minefield. But you can do a little more to spruce up these buttons. Trigger pull data allows you to pull data from whoever triggers a button and save it as a variable. You can then use that variable in other commands like send chat message, a command that allows you to automatically respond to a user with their name in the message. The variable that you save in trigger pull data has to be wrapped between a / and dollar signs in whatever commands. Also, because I forgot to mention this, but also because it's relevant, commands start from the top and work their way down, so trigger pull data should activate before the chat message. Now, let's talk about Yagoo. If you ever wondered why Blue Regard Q Kazoo managed to breach containment and was caught singing during the Dodgers game, you should thank this man. This command will make a gold Yagoo run from one side of the screen to the other.
Skill
the blue
issue.
and green boxes in the motion source command will pull from both the scene that the item is in and the actual source of the item that you want to animate. The X and Y start are the initial coordinates, and the X and Y end are whatever coordinates you want him to end at. Duration affects his speed, and also how long it would take, and the smooth effects at the start or end of the animation will help make it either smoother at its start or end. If you're worried about the source moving around too much from where you initially placed it, then use OBS pull source value to save the position to the source, and add that to the yellow box. You don't have to wrap this one because this is a yellow command, but you would if the command was a white boxed one. If you're wondering how far Yago can move, then it depends on your OBS canvas size. Because I'm using a 1920 by 1080 size canvas, he has to run at least 1940 so that he's off screen. That way you don't need to use something like source change visibility to manually hide him, have him show up from one end of the screen, and then pop up at the other. I also have another source motion command, except this one only affects rotation. The boxes are the same, thus you can copy the data over from the first box and paste them into these boxes. All this does is affect rotation, so it'll make him do a little flip when he enters. His rotation will start at 0 and end at 360. So he does a full rotation before he lands on the ground and continues to run to the other side of the screen. I also have a sound effect in here for good measure, but this one's delayed so it doesn't go off immediately. Delay is measured by milliseconds, or whatever you would do in normal seconds times 1,000. So if you want certain commands to go off once you trigger some buttons, be sure to space them out properly. The last command I'll demonstrate is an explosion command, or boom for short. We got one trigger pull data, just like the other two, and we're going to use two chat messages. First one says the user casts the explosion, and the second one says how effective it is. We also have a sound effect for casting the explosion, courtesy of Megami. We have two source change visibility, so the source isn't shown when you hop into OBS or when you switch scenes. Oh yeah, I never mentioned what the source was. It's an explosion with a green screen. You can chroma key it out using an OBS filter. You could basically use that for any and all green screen effects that you'd want to have pop up via chat trigger. Once you find a good spot for it, be sure to hide it. And now we have Media Restart. Media Restart can restart our source, or the green screen explosion in this case. In OBS, I put it into my Sammi deck group, which is just a collection of all of the Sammi effects that require some character to move across the screen like Yago, or the timers that I'll talk about in a later video. With all of these things grouped, whenever you make a new scene, you just copy the group over and paste it into a new scene. It's actually extremely easy. Once you do it the first time, you just take it and move it over. The last thing I'll do is add a color correction filter in OBS to myself. This one will make me look darker, like I got blown up in the explosion. And with two filter toggle visibilities for the color correction filters, after a few seconds it'll fade and I'll be back to normal. Don't forget to mind the delays in the buttons as well. Since the sound happens immediately, where you cast the explosion is visible in 2 seconds, restarts in 4, and all but the color correction resolves in 5 seconds. Well, the last one at least, but that has to linger for a little bit because I got blown up. These are just some of the things you can do with chat-based triggers. There's a lot more that you can do, obviously, but I don't want things to be too disruptive for the stream, so you could really start to have a lot of fun with this if your entire stream is based off an idea like Shindigs are. Now we've got follower-based triggers. If you keep track of new followers, subs, or bits on screen, then don't manually update them like myself or DSP.
Oh yeah, opponent should have been on the leaderboard, guys. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. Stop worrying about the leaderboard when I'm playing the match, please. Oh my god. See what happens? Could you guys shut the fuck up about the leaderboard when I'm in the middle of a heated match against a master player?
Instead, use the trigger pull data to pull the name, and a source change text to automatically update it without your intervention. The reason mine has spaces in it is because of a text scrolling effect. Otherwise, it would look like the text would wrap in on itself and it would make it look very hard to tell where the name begins and ends. The funniest thing about this is I spent so much time trying to do really complicated things within Sammi, and lo and behold, this was something extremely simple to set up once I got in the hang of it. It's just a thing where when you spend so much time trying to do something complicated, something this simple just doesn't come across your mind or just doesn't come to you. But just like before, we can go a step further. We can make a source that updates with a message to thank our new follower, that also hides the source when you change the visibility via another command with a slight delay. Then top it off with a sound effect. And while yeah, you can do all this stuff through Twitch and you do have customization options there as well, I do prefer the option to do it via OBS itself. Plus, you can use your own custom fonts downloaded to your PC to add a little bit more flair to it. The creme de la creme of this last one is pulling someone's follower image. First, you have to make a browser source for it in OBS and remember its name to copy over into Sammi. In Sammi, copy these 4 commands and I'll explain each one of them all together. The delete variable will clear everything so that whenever the command is triggered, it pulls for new information. The trigger pull data exists so that you can pull somebody's name, and I'm saving it as follower name. The Twitch get user info is what we're using to actually get the information on somebody's picture, and we're saving that as the new variable follower pic. The last command, wait until variable exists, is waiting for the variable follower pic to exist within Sammi. That way it can be updated via the source change settings command by going to the source name follower image and then entering in this variable, this JSON string as they call it. The only thing that would change on your end is if you decide to change the name of the last variable in the Twitch get user info section, which would be follower pic. If you change the name of that, then this part is the only thing that would need to be changed. Everything else remains the exact same. After that, it's nothing more than a source change visibility so that the name pops in and then out. But make sure that you hide them beforehand so that once you trigger the command, it doesn't mess with it in any sort of way. If Sammi ever had any problems with the lack of information on it, while there's a lot you can do, it's open-ended, broad enough that it might just be scaring away people who are interested in it. Though there is information on the Sammi Core Discord, not being rude when I say this, but it's kind of niche or tucked away. Whenever I have issues with something, I think most people search for answers on YouTube, and while there are some videos on Sammi, there isn't anything like projects that show what you can do, or if there are, I didn't see that many. And I think having simple projects or videos showing what you can do with it would be great at getting people interested in trying out streaming tools like Sammi or others. And I hope to show you guys more in the future, because more people should know about tools like this and what they could do for their streams or other creative endeavors. Also, if I forget to back up my decks, then it's nice to have it in a video form, because if this happens a third time, I don't know if I could handle it. Thanks to the Sammi core team for making this possible. Saying that Sammi changed my streams and the ideas I've had for them is an understatement. Links to their website and Patreon are linked below. I apologize if things in the video aren't clear, so if I did miss anything, let me know and I can clarify it. But beyond that, thanks for stopping by. Be sure to like or dislike if you want. Sub to the channel for updates on whatever else I get up to. And I'll see you guys later. GrimG signing off.
Take to them, I was so.